When you talk about life saying no, for many of us, life saying no is a flat tire that makes us late for work. Life saying no means not having enough money to go on vacation. But when you do what King Geoffrey does, life has said no for a whole nation.
Life at times is going to say no, and then when you say yes to the will of God, He takes care of it.
Our special guest today is all the way from East Africa, the country of Uganda, a country that is little known for what it really is, but historically has been well known for things that have long gone into the past. I'd like you to join me in welcoming King Geoffrey. That's the easiest way to say it. He's the Ikumbanya of the Bugwere Kingdom in Eastern Uganda. Your Royal Highness, welcome to Say Yes When Life Says No.
Thank you, Doctor, for having me here.
Your father was a friend of mine.
Yes, sir.
And just a great leader. He was the only royal in Africa,
yes, sir,
who was also a bishop in the Lord's church. And that unique combination just drew me to him. Mm-hmm. And now here you are, yes, sir, a royal in a legitimate kingdom and the pastor of a ministry in your kingdom. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk first about Uganda, because so many people in the West have such little knowledge of Africa in general, and East Africa in particular. We're familiar with Nigeria and Ghana and West Africa, but East Africa is even further from our minds and from our knowledge base. Tell us about Uganda, whatever you think we should know about the country of Uganda.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Dr. Soaries, for having me. And thank you for having Africa on your heart. Thank you for loving Uganda, and most importantly, for loving the Bugwere people. I know for sure that 6 years ago, when you met my father, you called, and of course you attended one of the biggest events that we usually had as his coronation. Right. So thank you for the continuity, even when he's not here. Thank you for taking that time to continue on checking on us, checking on Uganda, checking on the Bugwere people, most importantly, our family. We're so grateful. Uganda is a very beautiful country that everyone should really make it a point to visit before they go back home to the Lord, because it's the Pearl of Africa. At the moment, we have a population of 50 million people, all different tribes, different cultures, different people. We have the young and the old, of course, we have the youth, and then people come from all over. It's one of a place where people come to right now, like when there are wars in East Africa, the other East African countries, Uganda has become like a home to all these people that are having wars in their countries like Congo, Somalia, Eritrea. People have come to be in Uganda.
We heard a lot about Uganda internationally when your president's name was Idi Amin, and many of the atrocities that the people there suffered under his leadership became really the symbol of Uganda. And many today, when they hear Uganda, they think Idi Amin. A lot has changed since his leadership. Talk about some of those changes.
A lot has changed. Of course, we are blessed as a country. Uganda is a God-fearing country. We have freedom of worship. And of course, the leadership has changed. Before then, there was no freedom of worship when Idi Amin was there. Of course, there were lots of killings. We had a lot of wars in the northern part of Uganda. But right now, Uganda is known to be one of the peaceful countries amongst all the East African countries. And then the leadership we have right now is a God-fearing leadership. Our President Museveni is a God-fearing person.
Well, God must be on his side, too.
Yeah.
He's been in office 45 years.
Yes. The son, the daughter, one of his daughters, he's a pastor. Actually, he has a ministry. The first lady, he's also a Christian. So things, of course, they can't really be 100% perfect. There are those challengings. Uganda is one of those countries that is still upcoming. Like, it's a landlocked country, so lots of things happen. We still have some poor roads, but the government has really changed. The medical systems are much better compared to the years ago. So it's getting better. It's not yet where probably it's supposed to be, but at least it's not where it used to be.
Yeah, I've become fascinated with African royalty. I was traveling through Europe one time, and while I was in the airport, there was a news flash, and it simply started with the royal family. And I knew that the term the royal family meant the British monarchy. But I also happen to know that there are royal families throughout Africa. And since that time, I've worked hard to connect with royal families, starting, of course, in Ghana. I found out about your father when he visited my friend, the Ochehini, in Ghana. And so I'm kind of a African royal family watcher. And I say all of that basically to lead up to this question. What do we mean by the Bugwere kingdom? What does it mean that you're the head of a kingdom in Uganda?
In Uganda, we have 53 tribes. The 53 tribes in Uganda compose of different regions. Of course, the 53 tribes speak a different dialect. They speak a different language, but most of them come up to build a kingdom. Currently, right now, we have 17 kingdoms that are recognized in Uganda. When a kingdom is recognized in Uganda, of course, they work together with the current government to support the people. So when President Museveni, because the late President Obote had demolished all the kingdoms, but when the current president came into power, he reinitiated the kingdoms. So he wanted to give people a belonging. That's where the kingdoms were built and started again.
So the people still retain their sense of tribal identity, but it's that the government didn't recognize the kingdoms, and therefore the indigenous leadership could not function as intermediaries on behalf of the people. It's really a fascinating concept to me, and it's really akin to the black church in a sense in America, where the black church is in many ways the local tribal entity, and black pastors, more so than non-black pastors in this country, function really as intermediaries between government and sometimes corporations and the needs of black people. Is very fascinating. I think that's why I, as a pastor, gravitate towards these chiefs and kings and queen mothers in Africa. So the Bugwere kingdom was reestablished from a government recognition perspective. What year was that?
It started in 2010 when my dad got a vision to go back to Uganda for him to lead the people. So of course, when the current government says, the current law says in Uganda that you can agree with all the people, if you agree as a tribe and as a region, you can say that we want to start a kingdom.
Right. So when I came there 6 years ago, I met not only your dad, the king, and his wife, the queen mother, but I met the prime minister, I met the president. I met all of these people. Explain the infrastructure that you lead.
So the Bugwere kingdom, of course, you work with all these people around. So we lead a tribe, and you lead a tribe and you have to bring these people on board. Like, you work like a mediator with all these people. Like, it's like you're their mouthpiece to all the government sector, the region sector, the religious sector. Like, you're like a mediator between the local people that can't probably get to the president. When they have a need, you talk to the president, and then the president hears their cry, and then they help. The central government helps the kingdom.
Right, right. And then the kingdom itself has a government of sorts. You've got people in the kingdom who have titles and who have responsibility, so that you don't have to do everything yourself. What kinds of people hold what kinds of titles inside the kingdom?
We have a lot. We have a lot of different titles, but we work with the prime minister. So immediately after the king, you set up a cabinet as well. So it consists of the Prime Minister, the second Prime Minister, the third Deputy Prime Minister, the Secretary General, of course, the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Education, all these kind of people.
And these are all positions in the kingdom.
In the kingdom.
That look out for the needs of the people in those respects.
Yes, so you choose from the people that you work with, from all these people that you choose as ministers, or the people that constitute the Bugwere institution or the Bugwere kingdom. You pick from them because you may not be able to reach every person on the ground. So you have to have people that will meet the needs of the people, and then they'll bring them on board, and then they will tell you the need of the people. Then you report it to the central government.
Right. So within the kingdom, you also have, I think it's 108 sectors. What are they? Communities, villages?
No, they're not villages. It's a tribe, a Bugwere, but then it consists of different clans. We call them clans.
Got it.
Clans is like you're going to meet somebody that believes in a certain animal. They are like, okay, I can eat this animal, or I can do this, but then another clan doesn't allow them to eat a certain fruit from the tree.
So each clan has a little subculture.
Something. So that's why we have 108 clans in Bugwere. So Bugwere consists of 100 clans amongst the Bugwere people.
So your father was king.
Yes.
You are king.
Yes.
But you are not king because your father was king. But the 108 clan leaders came together and they voted to determine who the king would be when your father died during the pandemic, and that's how you became king.
Yes.
Wow, that's
Yes. Yeah. So when my dad died, of course, because it wasn't something that was started before, it's not like it has to be passed on to the next son. It's not hereditary in our kingdom. Right. There are other kingdoms where when the king dies, the immediate son takes on. But because like you know the story when my father told you about the story that God himself called him for the people, then the clans worked in hand with him, and then they appointed him to be the king. It's the same thing that happened immediately after, like, my father died 3 days. They called my mom, they called me, and they're like, okay, I want you to take this position. Of course, like I told you, when you were in Uganda, I was like a little bit nervous and hesitant. But then they were like, we want to support you, we're going to support you, because we know the legacy that your family has built, not because of anything, but because it's a family that knew God and believed in the morals of God. They felt like they really wanted someone from that same family, a Christian background, to come and take the position.
Well, when I heard about it, I was nervous.
Yes.
I was nervous because you were so young.
Yes.
I was nervous because your dad's death was so unexpected. He was not an old man. I was nervous because your mother told me that she never really wanted your dad to be the king because he was the bishop. And she really didn't believe that a king could be a bishop and a bishop could be a king. But I didn't know how much of that she would transfer to you because you're a pastor and now you're a king. But when I came there in August of 2025, and I saw the way the people love you and admire you and are so connected to you, it was as if I was watching your father. I mean, these people absolutely love you. And the older people, because you're a young guy, the older people respect you as if you're an old guy. Although when we talk about you and you're not around, we talk about you as having an old man spirit in a young man's body.
Thank you.
But it was marvelous to see that, and I'm so proud of you and so happy for your leadership. So before we get into your vision, I just want to ask this basic question. What do you do? I mean, you know, what does a king do all day? Just be a king?
As a king, you're a mediator between the local person and the central government. And then when there are conflicts in the clan, some of the clans, where the clan head can't solve it, they bring those issues to the king. And then, of course, as a king, you have to lobby for your people, like you to see that the kingdom develops. Like you see, Bugwere is one of those poorest regions, and being that it's just new, reinitiated. It's one of those poorest, like you see the health sectors, the education sectors. So you embark on a journey of seeing how to improve the people of your region. But personally, like you know, I'm a pastor, and we have orphanages that you know about. We have 5 orphanages, then we also pastor a church, not just one church. So I live my life in a way that I'm going to see what the kingdom needs, and I'll see what the ministry needs, and then what orphanages need.
You mentioned orphanages as if we should just take it for granted that every king and every pastor has orphanages, and plural. First of all, I happen to know that you're caring for 3,000 orphans. And when I came there, what I learned was that many of these orphans are Muslim, they're not all Christian. Many of them lost their parents to the AIDS epidemic, many through violence. Talk about these orphanages and how you sustain them.
I would say that first we sustain them by the grace of God. It's not easy. It's not an easy task. At times, not all of them came because they're orphans or they lost parents. But at times we go to church on a Sunday morning, you're preaching. After church service, you see a little baby left at church. Little baby, a 2-month baby, 3-month-old baby.
The parents brought them and just left them there.
They place them as if they're going to go to the restroom, and you can't find them. And of course, when you take them to the officials of the government or the police, they're going to tell you, well, as we look for the mother, stay with them. And then they never find the mother, they never find the person that dropped the baby. So that's how we have gotten all this number. Because we always get this question that why do you still have them? At times you can't let them just go on the streets, because we have seen people that come and their lives have changed because we simply said yes. Because like the book you wrote that say yes when life says no. Because life at times is going to say no. But then when you say yes to the will of God, He takes care of it.
Yeah, because these orphans, as we call them, they're poverty, but they're poverty within a region of poverty because the people are not wealthy. We had a ministry here, we called it Harvest of Hope, because like your experience, we had young people having babies, and they'd go to the hospital, and then at the middle of the night, they would just leave, and the baby would just be in the hospital. And we worked with government to get families to take those babies in. But these families have homes, they have food, they have jobs. In your case, the community lives in poverty. How does a poor community care for poor orphans?
So a poor community, that's why you realize that most people don't help their kids. They end up bringing them or throwing them at one of those orphanages in the entire Uganda. But God has put a ministry on most people in Uganda. Like you find different orphanages, different baby homes where they place, and then these people take care of these people. So we as a family or we as a ministry, of course we speak to people, that those people that God has blessed. So you ask them to at least take care of 2 kids or 3 kids to see that these kids and babies are sustained through school, through medical needs. Of course, at times it gets hard, and because you're trying to get support to help the community, and then the community is really poor, so you end up getting friends from Uganda or different regions that stand with you to support these people. But from the kingdom itself, it becomes hard, and then because of the government also having lots of responsibilities, they can't take care of everybody, or they can't meet the needs of every person. So those that are willing to do the will of God and the purpose of God end up sacrificing their lives for the others.
So I'm here with King Geoffrey from Bugwere, Uganda, the Bugwere Kingdom in Uganda, which is in the eastern portion of Uganda, which is in the eastern part of Africa. And when you talk about life saying no, for many of us, life saying no is a flat tire that makes us late for work. Life saying no means not having enough money to go on vacation. But when you do what King Geoffrey does, life has said no for a whole nation. Life has said no for whole populations. And he's using his royal position not to garner support for himself, you see pictures of kings and queens and royal families, and they're surrounded by servants. Whereas this man, like his father, who went to heaven a few years ago, he is not trying to be served. He is a king who believes that Jesus was right when he said that the greatest people are servants themselves. So that's why I admire you so much. We were talking about this orphanage ministry, and we didn't even mention the schools that you built, and many of the students who go to your schools are from the orphanages. And my attraction to your dad and my commitment, which is what brought us back 6 years later, was to help you in ways that the people in your community and your kingdom cannot help you. And what we've begun to do, as you know, is to get help from people who will help us help you. And we started with the clean water projects. Describe the conditions from a water perspective, and then why it's so important to have just clean water.
Water is really important. Like everything runs around there. When you get sick, they will tell you at times just a cup of water helps to heal a headache. Like it's really important. So like you saw when you came in August, when you came to Uganda, there are places that people walk to get water, but even the water they're trying to get is going to cause them death or cause them typhoid or cause them malaria, like cause them to get sick. So when we pray and God sends us people like you to stand with us, we don't take it for granted. We are always grateful. So thank you for actually saying yes and for coming back 6 years later. The need, I know you walked around the region to a few places and then you saw what people drink for water. It's really, it treats you really bad as a person because there are people that don't even have a privilege to buy clean water. Like even if they are sick, they bathe dirty water, they drink that water, they use that water to cook if they are able to cook. So everything about it is really bad. So when you come to our region and you say you're going to give us water, we are grateful to God, we are grateful to you, we are grateful to the people that work with you to see that you empower these king places, to see that you empower these regions for the betterment of the people.
By the time we return,
Yes.
and we are going to return,
Yes.
we're hopeful that we can share a cup of clean water from the wells that we've helped you build. Let's talk about your vision. All over Africa, we know that there are a couple of things happening. Thing number one is that in the next few years, half of Africa will be children. Most of Africa, a lot of Africa's children now, but at least half of Africa. And most of the children in the world will live in Africa. And most of those children will live in poverty. We now have technology that's causing countries like China and India and Philippines that used to be completely impoverished. Technology is elevating those people, and so people in neighborhoods in India, for instance, are now prospering. People go to work, people have computers. What is your vision for the future economic and social stability of the people? We know that they're going to heaven because you're going to preach to them the route to heaven.
Amen.
But between now and the time they get to heaven, what is your vision for helping them improve the quality of their lives here on earth?
So I want to pray to God to bless us as a kingdom to support all these people. Like you notice that we have early pregnancies. Of course, you find a kid giving birth to a fellow kid. Kids give birth to as early at the age of 14, 15 in Uganda. So some of them is because of the rape, some of them because of the condition. So parents start sending these kids to go into marriage because they want to be sustained or believing that a man is going to send support to the family, which is not true. So you find lots of kids without fathers, without help from anybody, anywhere. So we want to see that we empower the children through education sector, of course, providing them with good health. And then we also want to make sure that we, by the grace of God, we start up something that is going to sustain and bring them jobs. When the mother has a child, like a 24-year-old child, and then she has a baby, when she gets a job somewhere that she can take care of herself, then also support the kid. That's why we really want to see that the educational sector in Bugwere improves, then the healthy sector in Bugwere improves, and then the agricultural sector in Bugwere improves, because when there is something for them to do or work up with, they're going to be able to sustain their families too. So the burden doesn't come back to all the people around them or the kingdom itself or us as a king or the regional leaders, but the people are able to sustain themselves too because we have put up initiatives that are supporting these people to get jobs, to get an income, to save their family.
Yeah, that's admirable. I just can't tell you how exciting it is to talk to a royal personality whose real focus is the economic viability of his people. Your dad took me on a tour of the kingdom, and one of the things that really stand out in my mind is that there's so many wet areas that make it hard to grow certain things, but there are other kinds of things, like palm trees, for instance, can really flourish, and palm trees produce palm oil, and palm oil has many uses. So does your vision include some specific projects either around palm or around other kinds of products that can not only feed the people there, but generate revenue through exports?
Yeah, so when actually I was blessed to be on that trip to Ghana as well, so the people took us around, and then because we went to learn and achieve. Of course, we went to, my father's intention was to go and spread the gospel to the other kings, but then we ended up doing different visits to different chiefdoms and then kingdoms. So when we were going around on the tours, we could see things that we can actually do in Uganda and Bugwere. So we copped like the palm oils. Then we also have a friend of yours that you know that gave us an idea of starting up the plantain chips. Like, it's going to create jobs in Bugwere, but also it's going to, we are able to export these things that we grow to other neighboring countries. Like I said, Uganda is a landlocked country, so we can send the stuff to Kenya, we can send them to Sudan, Tanzania. So when we do that, it's going to be able to not only help the country when we export, but it's also going to mainly help the Bugwere people, where we can get an income and for the betterment of the region as a kingdom.
Yeah, that's great. You know, I get a lot of people who know that I go back and forth to Africa asking me questions about investing in Africa. And I think the kind of vision you have will lend itself to having investors and partners that can help capitalize, raise the necessary funds to help you get started with those kinds of initiatives. I've seen what you do. I've seen where you do it. It is a noble task. You've lived in the States before, and so you know what it's like to have the comfort and conveniences of the United States. Yet with that knowledge, you've accepted, you said yes when the clans came together and invited you back.
Yeah, at times you feel like you don't want to go back to Uganda, but then you're like, because of the people, I should go back.
And I respect you for that.
Thank you, Doctor.
I admire you for that.
Thank you.
And I promise God that we will support you in that spirit. So listen, folks, come with us. We go to Africa all the time. We're going back to East Africa, where we'll be in Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania again. But we're going to spend a little more time in Uganda this time than we did prior, because we've got some big things to do. And if you'd like to help us help this king, you get in touch with us and we'll make sure that you're part of this growing movement where we believe God allowed Africans to be taken from Africa the way Joseph was taken from his brothers, only to go back to help his brothers in a time of need. So listen, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Doctor. God bless you.
I'll be back with some closing remarks.
Kindred Futures is a think and do tank. It's about really investing in communities where they have the opportunity to actualize their dreams. So we are really committed to partner with champions like Prudential that understand that a thriving economy provides pathways to build a thriving country.
Many people are aware that historically Africa has had kings and queens who ruled over greatness. Not enough people realize that there are kings and queens, royal families today in Africa. Now, there are two types of royal families in Africa. Type 1 celebrates themselves. They enjoy their cultural and social and economic status. They enrich themselves, and they're just royal families to be royal families. The second type is characterized by our guest today, the Ikumbanya of the Wayabire kingdom in Uganda. His father was king before he was, you heard that, and you can see his focus. His focus is not on enriching himself. His focus is not on being celebrated, even though he is highly celebrated among his people. His focus is on health care. His focus is on education. He really focuses on children in foster care whose parents have died from AIDS or from war. And what he asked us to do was to help them with water. Water is the lifeblood of a community. We take it for granted over here in the U.S., but there are millions of people who have to walk miles to get a contaminated cup of water that has to be boiled and used 24 hours later. This is, in my mind, the best way to celebrate royalty. And I'm honored to have met many royal families in Africa, but this one, this Ikumbanya from this part of the world, in my mind, is the most humble and the most useful and the most generous I've ever met. And so I'm committed to helping him. We're building more wells in Uganda to help him with water. And then we're going to expand to help him with more economic development projects. And there's a way to get involved. You can get involved with us and help us support him, or you can at least pray. Pray that God will bring resources, because many of us, when we hear life's no's, it's a no personally. In this case, life has said no to a whole nation. And now this king is trying to help his part of the nation say yes when life said no. Every day, each one of us is faced with a no in our lives. But today, you decided to say yes to watching this program. Subscribe to this channel and keep watching for more content.